Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another lesson in the Learning CAD Sketcher for Beginners. Today we're going to be creating this object with just two sketches, and we're going to be using something called an intersection workflow. Now if we look at this object, it is actually quite simple to create. And though it looks complex, it's actually made up of two sketches, and this one is just a duplicate of our main sketch. We haven't used anything special in there. We've just used solidifiers and a boolean operation. So let's have a look how we would create such an object.
If you're enjoying these videos and you would like to support the channel, then you can do so via my Ko-Fi page. That's at ko-fi.com/MJ3D Studio.
So first of all, let's examine this object. If we look from the top, you can see that the profile, click on the Z-axis, is almost looks like a ring pull. So you've got this ring here and this straight part here. And this is what we sketch. If you think of this as a silhouette, you would just have this straight rectangle here that's open at the bottom, this beveling that comes in here, this curve, and then the circle that comes around with the part that's removed. And we do the same for the other profile along the x-axis. As you can see, it's exactly the same, but it's just rotated. So we can get away with one single sketch for this and just duplicate the sketch. So I'm going to start a new general. Don't want to save it. Let's get rid of this cube by clicking on it and right clicking and hitting delete. And I'm going to get rid of the camera as well. Right click, delete, and the light, because I don't need them. You can leave them in there if you want. And come over to the flyout bar, because I've already got CAD Sketcher installed. And I'm going to come down to the Sketcher and add sketch. And let's pick the plane we want to place this on. So this here is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. And this plane that sits here is on the XY plane. So if I click on that, we are now on the XY plane, and therefore I can look down from the Z onto that plane and start sketching. First of all, I'm going to create a circle. So this circle is going to be coincident to this point. So if I hover over this point in the middle, click once, bring the circle out, and the circle's in. I can now select the circle. Well, first of all, I need to right click to cancel the tool. Select the circle, come over to tools, open that up, and we'll find a diameter constraint in there. And we can set the diameter. So this has come up. I'm going to pull this measurement out and outside. You see the arrows. The arrows now change to it being outside. And I'm going to click the diameter and set the size to 10 millimeters. On the keyboard and hit enter. So we've got our first circle in there. I'm going to now select the arc. So I'm creating this profile. Let's use the arc. I'm going to come over, hover over the center point, click once. That's the center of the arc. Now we're in arc mode. I've got to define the start point, which is here. So I'm going to click once and bring this arc around, and then click again to end that arc. So we've got this arc here. Right click to cancel. That sets the diameter for the arc by clicking on it and come into diameter. The moment this is set to 15, let's bring this out and set this to 15 millimeters and hit enter. We've got 15 millimeters on the diameter. If we wanted to, we can click on that and actually change that to use radius. Click use radius. This will update 7.5. And now I'm going to take these points and bring them around to about here. I'm going to take this point and this point. So shift click them. Click one first, hold down shift, click the other, and put them in vertical constraint. So we've got that there. They will move with that one. Let's zoom out to see what we got and move this off to the left. So now what we want to do is create a rectangle in here. To do that, I'm going to use the line tool. Come over to the right, we've got this continuous draw. If I have this off, it'll only draw one line. Continuous draw means it will join the lines together as we draw. Starting point is this point. Hover over it, we get coincident. Once we click, the line comes out, drop the line, bring this down, click again, and then finish by clicking, and we get that in place there. Right click to cancel the tool, and that sets some length in here. So what I'm going to do, we haven't used this before, is use a point. So I'm going to add a 2D point. I'm going to hover over this arc and drop a 2D point on there. It's got the point added. Right click to cancel. And take this point and the center point, shift click those and place them in horizontal alignment. What this allows me to do is take this point, this endpoint here, and shift click this point and create a distance between them. The distance looks a bit funky because basically it's placed it from the distance from here to here. And we can change that by clicking on the measurement, the left mouse button. You've got this alignment here, come down, it's set to none. Click that and use horizontal alignment. So now we've got a distance between this point and this point, horizontal, and we can change that by clicking on it, and we'll set the distance to 25 and hit enter. So we've got that there. This can move up and down, as you can see. So I'm going to set some distance along here with distance and set that. I'm going to set that distance to 8mm. We can change that in a moment if we want, which I probably will do. It's probably too wide here. What we've got is a fully defined sketch, but I want to take in here, I want to create some beveling in here, and I'm just going to take this measurement, place it somewhere over here. For that, we're going to use the bevel tool. So we've got this bevel tool here. To use it, we click once on the bevel tool, and then we select the point that we want to bevel. So we can see these two join at this point. Click once, and then move this out, and we get this bevel come into play. Click again, and that drops that bevel in there. And we've got this nice bevel sitting in here. And I've just added another bevel in here. So that's right click to cancel that. That's better. Still fully defined. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to click on the bevel, click on this point, and bring this out here. And click again. So now we've got this bevel in here. Bevel that's sitting there. Right click to cancel the tool. We've got the solver space select there. I'm going to take this bevel, click it, and shift click the other bevel and make those equal. So we've got equality going through those. And now we've got some problems with the constraints. So you can see that it's not fully constrained anymore. We've got degrees of freedom, and you can see that moving in there as we move that point. So let's hit Control Z, and let's look to see what we got. So we've got these tangent constraints coming in, and you can see that these points here, well, those are in line. Those are sitting there. They look like they're basically just random points that are sitting there. So we can click on one and hit delete to get rid of it. Let's click on the other, hit delete. That's removed the degrees of freedom. So those were basically leftover points from this bevel, and they were just floating there in space. So we still can move these, as you can see there. That's Control Z that. Take this arc, and I've accidentally made, well, this constraint in there. It's disappeared because I clicked it, and when I took my finger off, it actually selected the hidden under there. So I'll do that same here, like tangent constraint. If I click that and then take my finger off, what's happening, as you can see, click once, the visibility is there. If I take it off, that visibility disappears. That's a bit of a problem because that's quite often happens with me. It just makes it invisible. And we can solve that by coming down to the constraints. Let's open that up, coming up. and show all, and those are back now. Now I want to take this arc, click it, and shift click this arc, if we can get it, and zoom in if we can't, click that one, and use the equality across those. So we've got the equality there, that's come up to the top, and we've got inconsistent constraint. We click on that, cannot solve sketch because of inconsistent constraints. Check through the failed constraints and remove one that contradicts each other. So let's have a look at our constraints. And we can see, well, we've got some exclamation marks in here. So I'm going to Control Z that. And I'm going to have a look to see what we got. We can move those. And what I'm going to do is just Control Z and set a length, say in here. You can see all these are back now. So that's set a distance. This is 8.66 millimeters. Let's click on that and come down and set that to 7 millimeters. So we've got that one there. And we're going to take this one, shift click this one, and make those equal. So now we've got a fully defined sketch. We've got the curvature in here and we're all ready to go. Let's convert the type, see here, drop this down to mesh, got the fill shape on, and now we're going to leave the sketch. So we've left the sketch there. And as you can see, we've got that shape. Now, one thing we have to be careful of is this circle. If we create a circle that goes all the way around here, this has got to fit in this part when we flip this around to the other side. So let's come in to edit that sketch and have a look to see what we got. So I'm going to make this a bit wider. We've got 25 millimeters here. I'm going to click on that, click on the distance, and make this 30 millimeters. Hit enter. And it looks a bit odd at the moment. Let's click on the 7 millimeters and set that. So I can, what I'm doing is holding down the mouse button and I'm going to bring this distance down. So I'm moving, dragging the mouse to the right, and I can see these curves coming in as you look at the screen. So I'm going to say something like this. That's 13.5. Let's change that to just 13. And we'll leave the sketch. It all computes. It's maybe a bit big, but that'll do for now. Now I'm going to take this object, this sketch, come over to this, make sure it's selected, go to Object and Duplicate Object. And it's saying that if I duplicate this object, if I hover over that, it's saying duplicate the selected object and move them. So if I click that, what's going to happen if I move the mouse now, that's going to move. So I'm not dragging, I've just selected, and that's in grab mode. So if I hit X on the keyboard, you can see that moves it along the X. And well, I'm just going to right click to cancel the movement. So I created a duplicate there and it's in the same place. Now we're going to move that. So let's get rid of this flyout bar. To do that, we can either drag it inwards or hit N on the keyboard to shrink it down. So that's N on the keyboard. Let's bring this around and have a look to see what we've got. So we can see at the moment it's not solidified or anything. And what we're going to do is I'm going to rotate this sketch. Now I could have done it when this was solidified. So it's got the modifier on there, but we're going to use just this one for the time being. So we can see what's actually going on underneath the hood. Select the sketch and I'm going to select the Z axis. I'm going to come over to the rotate tool, this one here, click once, and you can see we've got the Z axis going around here that I'm going to rotate on. So I'm going to click and hold and start to rotate this around. Now I'm going to type now into the keyboard where I've got my mouse held down 180 and remove my finger from my mouse And that's moved that into place. So let's rotate that into place 180. Let's bring this over so we can see what we're doing. Now what I want to do is click on the Z axis and move this and snap this edge to this edge. To do that, we're going to use the snapping tool. If I look to the top, we can see this, well, this curve here, which is actually a magnet. So I click on the magnet, we're in snap mode now. To the right hand side, we've got this gauge. If I drop this down, I'm going to come down and we can select the snapping options. And I'm going to come down to the edge. So this one here, edge, click that. And we've got it selected to move, so that's fine. That's disappeared now, and I'm going to use the move tool and click on this one, and we're going to move it. And what will happen is that as we move it towards this edge, it will snap to that edge. So you can see the little circle that's kicked in there. It's snapping onto that edge there, which is great. So I've done it there. Let's bring this around. So I'm going to bring this around this way, looking along the X axis. Just click that. Give that a bit of angle so we can see what we're doing. And now I'm going to use the rotate tool. So I can come down, use the transform or just the rotate. Let's click on the X. So we've got that there. I'm going to highlight the X, bring this around and type in 90 degrees and release the mouse button. So we've got those there. And this is the way we will actually place these sketches in here. Remember that if I wanted to, I could have solidified these first, then done this. But now I've got these in place, I'm just going to solidify both of them. Click one, sketch 001, come down to the wrench or spanner icon, add modifier, and we need the solidify. This one here. Make sure the offset is set to 0. Make sure that's set to 0. This means that when we thicken it, we can see that it's thickening from the center. So you can see that center there. As we bring this out, it thickens it out from the center. And this is one of the reasons why I've added the modifier after this, so I can show you twice. So the offset, the thickness, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to set it to something like 30. This brings it all the way out and it covers more than enough that object. Let's bring this down a bit. 20, hit enter. So we've got the object in there, so you can see that's covered that object nicely. Now select the other sketch and do the same. So you can see that sketch is there and it's sitting on top there. Add modifier, solidifier. Remember that the offset, set that to 0. So when we add the thickness, it actually comes out. And what we're looking to do is punch through the top. So create a thickness that takes it right through the top and covers the whole of the object. So at the moment I've gone to 10 millimeters, the most I can actually drag this to. So I'm going to click on it and set that to 20 and hit enter. That's taking it right out the top. And you can see that if we look from the side, we've got this profile and it ends at the same point as where this profile is. So we should be all good to go. Now comes the fun part. We're going to use a boolean operation between the two of these. So that's select one. I select our last one. Shrink the solidifier, add modifier, draw this down, and what we're looking for is the boolean. The object that sits here, click on the eyedropper, and we're going to select the other sketch, this one here or this top one. Click that. Now it's best to come up and hide the sketch that we selected. So you can see that sketch there. Let's just hide it so we know what it's done now. So that's hidden now. Otherwise, we're going to get both the objects on top. So at the moment, that's not the effect that we want. So we've got the union and then we got the intersection. And now we've created the object that we're looking for. Let's just select that pointer to get rid of that tool. So you can see how easy it was to create that object from both those sketches. So I hope that's given you an idea of how to create these type of objects. The key is that if we look from the top, we can see that there is this profile here that can be sketched as a planar profile, the same as this one. Just flip it around the other side, but that's fine. Let's do that again. Same as this one. And then an intersection workflow can be used to create the finished object. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you in the next one.
If you're enjoying these videos and you would like to support the channel, then you can do so via my Ko-Fi page. That's at ko-fi.com/MJ3D Studio. Any donations will be used to help to expand the channel. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.